This afternoon I'm here with Paul Pipitone, who's the creator of probably the most unique Suzuki GSX-S1000 in Australia. It's had a heart transplant of multiple sources, and so we're here with Paul to get him to talk about what he's done with his bike. So Paul, can you tell us what was the inspiration to make this bike?
Um, Basically, I had this bike for brand new, it's a 2015 GSX-S 1000. Doesn't look any different to any other GSX-S 1000. But I got to the point where the bike had done 100,000 Ks. I was running perfectly, the engine's still running perfectly, but I wanted something different. I wanted something a little bit more modern. Something with cruise control, something with up and down quick shifter, that sort of thing. And a bike came up that was a donor bike from auctions, and it was a 2022 GSX-S GT, and I had the thought that this would always work, and sure enough it has.
Did you do any investigations to make sure that the engine would just bolt into the existing frame?
Yeah, well, I just did basic searches on Google to just compare the two bikes together, either from bike sales or just from open source images, and just doing research on the Suzuki website. The frames are exactly the same, the swing arms are exactly the same, so the architecture is fairly much the same as what it was when the bike came out in 2015. And I knew from reviews that this engine combination was much smoother than the original, and sure enough it's proven true.
Yeah, cool. So how long did the swap take?
Well, the initial swap took about 5 days, just to do the swap, to strip it right down and put it back up. Probably there was another day sorting out the dash location, and also that front screen as well took about another day just to work that out. So in total it took about 6 days.
So when you talk about stripping it down, how far back did you have to go?
I went right down. Even the subframe came off. I didn't disconnect the swing arms. This is still the original swing arm, but all the linkages for the suspension all came off. The engine came out. The brake lines came out. The bike was virtually stripped to nothing. I did keep the front forks on because they're still the original forks. The donor bike unfortunately had bent forks, so I couldn't really use those. But yeah, the bike was pretty much stripped. Totally.
So sitting in your garage, you had the frame, the swing arm, and the forks.
Pretty much, that's it. Yeah.
Wow. All the electricals taken out and everything.
All the electricals are taken out. Funny enough, the actual layout of the 2022 Suzuki GSX-S GT and this model bike, the layout of the loom is fairly much the same. Obviously, the looms are a little bit different internally, and obviously the ECU is different as well. So, but everything's fitted in. As you can see, it's got the GT engine in it. It has the GT airbox as well. That fits underneath the standard 2015 to 2016 tank. Yeah, and for the people that don't know, it still looks like any other 2016 or 2015 model GSX-S 1000.
Yeah, of course. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
Until you told me all the things. So, what issues did you come across when you were doing all this?
Okay, so there was a few little issues that I had to troubleshoot. Obviously, the dash, that I did that a couple of months prior. Just sorting that out, make sure it was all ready to go. That was a little bit of an issue. Because the GT is actually a longer bike, the rear part of the wiring harness is a little bit different. And we'll put some photos in as well, or some video of actual underneath the seat. The seat layout of the wiring is a little bit different, but I managed to fit it all in. All right, here we go. This is what the bike looks like underneath the seat. As you can see, it's quite a tight fit. The wiring harness for the GT was a little bit longer on this rear section of the bike. For the keen-eyed viewers among you, you'll notice that the regulator rectifier is the other way around compared to the original spec of this bike was. There's a few other features in there as well. The starter relays in a little bit different location. There's also 5-volt in here, and I had to relocate from the front of the fairing off the donor GT. The fuse box is a little bit different as well. Yeah, and moving along to the dash, that's what the dash looks like. So even the current model GSX-S 1000 and the Katana don't have this dash. They've got a smaller dash, and it looks a little bit different. It's much more like the the GSX-R 1000 dash. So as you can see, there's a lot more features on here compared to what you get on a normal certainly this model bike, but also the current model S1000. And we've also got cruise control. As you can see there, we've got the cruise control switches all fitted in. Yep, clutch all integrated perfectly, the same as it normally would. We've got the ride-by-wire throttle with the hazard controls and the cruise control activation switch and the brakes. Yeah, I couldn't use my original handlebars because the original GSX-S1000 handlebars are a little bit shorter and I couldn't quite get all this stuff on. So I had to go with the Donut Bike's GT bars, which is fine because the angle's pretty much the same as the original spec on this bike. Also, because it was a front end, or effectively a fairing at the front, the wiring behind the headlight had to be redone. The GT uses a different headlight than this model bike. Just a matter of just cutting and splicing and shortening the cables, and also relocating the regulator rectifier on the GT, which sits at the front of the bike, back to underneath the seat where it was originally on this bike.
Okay. So what did it cost?
So all in total, for the bike, getting it, the donor bike, getting it shipped and a few other little bits and pieces, we looked at about $4,500 Australian.
So for $4,500 Australian, how many kilometres are on the donor bike?
So the donor bike had 2,000 Ks on it.
So you got a bike that's got 2,000 Ks on it and you've transplanted it into your own machine.
Yeah.
Wow. So tell me, what's it like to ride?
This engine combination and ECU is much smoother than the bike originally. Even though the original bike I did have it tuned with a Woolwich tune, the snatchy throttle was still always there, and it was a little bit difficult, especially on these tight roads in Victoria where we are at the moment. Just cracking open the throttle is always, just had to be a little bit careful with it. Certainly ride around it, and I always rode around it fairly well, because obviously the 100,000 Ks on it doesn't come about by accident. But it's just the throttle transition's much smoother. I could run in a lower gear at a higher RPM and just crack open the throttle, and it's still much smoother right through the whole rev range.
And what's the quick shifter like?
Quick shifter sublime. Yeah, that's all I can put. Quick shifter is sublime, along with cruise control.
Yeah, cruise control is great, isn't it?
Yeah.
Was it worth the effort, Paul?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Is there anything about it that you might do differently?
There's a few little things that I'm going to do differently just to make the bike stand out a little bit more. So these wheels are going to get painted gold at some point, and the fork outers I'm going to change from gold to black. I've already got those, so that's ready to go. Otherwise, essentially, I'm going to leave the bike as it is. The bike runs well. I've just done over nearly 2,000 Ks since the engine swap, and the bike runs flawlessly.
Well, I wonder if this is picking up on the camera. So this is riding Paul's bike. This is an interesting little thing. It feels so small compared to my bike. It's got so much grunt, quick shifter. Comparisons, quite different. It feels different to sit on because I'm leaning forward a little bit. The engine feels marginally rougher, not quite as smooth as my bike, but there's probably not much in it. Quick shifter, yeah, I've got to get used to just using a quick shifter, and I found that it doesn't like it at really low revs. Probably need to be going a little bit faster to really get the benefit of it, but we'll have a play and see how we go. So I'm in fourth gear now, doing 50 kilometers an hour, 58, 59. Can I change up into fifth? Oh, look at that, change up into fifth, and it's seamless. So smooth. Didn't move the throttle at all. Didn't touch the clutch. Now what happens if I go down from fifth to fourth at 60 kilometers an hour? Again, smooth as, no reaction whatsoever, completely seamless. I could get used to this. I think suspension is better than my bike, nowhere near as worn out as mine by the feel of it. Don't know if I'm right or wrong, but the bike feels like smaller and lighter. take a little bit of getting used to what I'm used to, but it feels like it carved through corners because like it just feels incredibly short, small, and lots more poke than my bike's got. Just changed down to fifth. Oh, look at that, it's completely seamless. Fourth, you don't even know you've changed gears. The only way you can tell you've changed gears is by engine revs or looking at the gear indicator. No wonder you're so fast on this, Paul. This is a nice piece of kit. Cruise control on. Nice cruise control on. Oh, look at that. Cruise control! Oh, look at this! Love it! Sit back, hands in the air! Hey! Oh man! What happens to cruise control if you change gears? Does it cut out? Oh, it cuts out when you change gears. That's a shame. Woohoo! I love this cruise control. Cruise control, quick shifter. What a game changer! This is just incredible. It's like a go-kart compared to my bike. It's much more responsive. I think I prefer the handlebars on mine. Pick up this thing's kind of good on my bike. It's seamless, quick shifter. Suspension's much firmer. Feels like the wheelbase is a lot shorter. I wonder what it is. It just has that feeling, short, taut, go-kart type feel compared to my bike. All these things coming up on the dash, what are they? Yeah, you know what, Paul? I've had a ride on this morning and it is just sensational to ride. I really appreciated the opportunity to ride it. You've done a magnificent job. Well done, mate.
Thank you.
And this afternoon I'm here with Paul Pipitoni, who's made...
Always one.
There's one in every crowd, isn't there? There's always one.
Did it go into the red?
Oh, would have for sure.
Oh, we've been waiting all 10 minutes for you to work out this camera.
Top. Now what? Do I have to move?
He's the director.
Oh, no, I just want to get the perfect thing. Even that the white line is not in the middle.
Oh, it doesn't matter about the white line.
Mate, you're lucky you didn't park the bike on this side. Otherwise, I would have maneuvered my bike so I could just crawl past it.